It is way too early in the offseason for stuff like this to be happening already. The Ravens just got some awful news, man. Darius Washington tore his Achilles during conditioning and is out for the entire season. Ian Rappaport reported that the MRI has already confirmed it is a torn Achilles and it happened during conditioning. He says he will miss most of the 2025 season. I've seen other reports saying he's already out for the season. Either way, I think Darius is probably not going to be a key contributor at all for the Baltimore Ravens this season, which is such a blow, especially because the Ravens didn't extend him, which obviously worked out for the team in a situation like this, but it's just an awful blow for Darius, man. I honestly feel I'm sad about losing the impact on the defense for the Ravens. I'm also sad for Darius, man. You know, this guy wanted an extension, balled out last year, and unfortunately, you know, the Ravens put the tag on him. Nobody else offered him anything. He ends up signing the tag. So he doesn't have any long-term security or commitment, and then he's conditioning and tears his Achilles. Now he's got a year road of recovery, and he's going to be a free agent. So it's just, you know, that's not a good position to be in as a player. So I feel for Darius. He was so big for our defense last year, it's not even funny, man. I mean, Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson were destroying the Ravens defense last year. And Darius comes in, Kyle Hamilton moves back, and all of a sudden everything's solidified and 29's out there making play after play, hitting guys, getting interceptions, making game-changing fumbles. I mean, he did it all. It just seemed like every game 29's flashing, every single game. And he was still going to play a big role for the Ravens this season. You know, we had a very deep secondary, versatile secondary. We obviously drafted Malachi Starks in the draft, who is going to be needed more than ever now since we already lost Darius. The safety room just all of a sudden looks a lot thinner, and wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens go out and add a veteran at this point too, because, I mean, we don't have Darius. It's pretty much locked in now, so you got to have to go explore the free agent market. There's still some solid safeties out there that I think the Ravens could be interested in bringing in just to be able to keep that versatile secondary the way that they wanted to. You know, they had some big plans this year, I think, to be extremely multiple and be able to match whatever the offense is giving them. I think that the Ravens secondary was so versatile that Kyle Hamilton was going to be absolutely moved everywhere. You had Darius there who can play multiple positions. You got Marlon Humphrey who can play multiple positions. You know, Malachi Starks is versatile. The Ravens had so many options, and you take a versatile player like Darius Washington off the field and out of the equation completely, it limits those options a little bit. You know, the Ravens safety room just got so much thinner. So this sucks. This is not what you want to hear. You know, you expect some of this during camp, but it hurts to have it happen during conditioning. You know, we're not even at camp. We're not at mini camp. We're not at training camp yet. Mini camp's in a few weeks, but you know, obviously people get injured. This is football. It's going to happen during training camp. There's going to be a couple guys that are banged up. We've been very blessed with health these last 2 years, but do you remember what the 2 years prior to that felt like? It sucked. It was just injury after injury. You know, Marcus Peters and J.K. Dobbins and Lamar Jackson didn't finish season after season there for a couple years. And then we had 2 healthy seasons. And, you know, I'm praying for continued health, but obviously this is a brutal start when we're not even at a camp and we lose one of our key rotational safeties and a playmaker on the defense for the entire season. It just sucks, man. I saw this news. I was like, no way. This is too early and just feels wrong, man. Darius, we had no commitment, and that's probably a reason that the Ravens didn't extend him. You know what I mean? I thought Darius deserved a smaller extension. I never said he's, you know, to pay him a ton, but I thought he deserved, based off his play last year, a smaller extension. And I felt like you could kind of sign him for a steal, but the Ravens knew that they could just tag him and didn't have to extend him and wanted to just play it out and see how it played out. And obviously this happens. So the team looks really, really smart in this situation, but they didn't want this to happen either. I'm just saying they made the right decision in this situation, and Darius is the one who kind of gets screwed. And the Ravens also lost a key player too. You know, both sides are getting screwed, but I just really feel for our Darius, man. This sucks. And as much as this sucks, this is also an opportunity for Sanusi Kane and Brade. You know, one of those seemed like they were going to be kind of the odd man out. I was thinking it could be Brade. Sanusi Kane seemed like he might be the guy that they keep at safety, but now I think both guys have plenty of opportunity to make this roster. I wouldn't be surprised if they're using Sanusi Kane and Brade or sign a veteran. But regardless, I think this is a huge opportunity for those young guys. And I think, you know, with a healthy competition like that, one of those guys could rise up and end up getting some Darius Washington meaningful minutes. I could see a Sanusi Kane out there making plays like Darius did. You know, I don't know if he's quite there yet, but I think one of those guys could kind of, you know, surprise some people and really step up and help this defense. So it's not all negative. It's pretty negative, but it does give a chance for the younger guys to get a lot more opportunity and hopefully help this defense in some way. Moving on to a few other updates from today. The Ravens rounded out their 90-man roster. They officially did that with defensive end Kane Rucker from North Carolina. He's a sack machine, so you know, keep adding competition to the edge room. Let the best guy win there, too. I think it's going to be an epic battle this offseason to make the Ravens roster, but there's practice squad spots as well. And, you know, the more talent that we have in undrafted free agency, the better. The Ravens were also awarded an international exemption spot for David Ajabo, so he's not counting towards the 90-man roster. He will count towards the 53-man roster if he makes it, but not towards the 90. So we're technically carrying an extra player right now because David Ajabo is considered an international player. So pretty cool. The Ravens get an extra roster spot throughout this offseason. We also saw Daniel Faalele working out with Ronnie Stanley. A lot of people are hyping up Falele's shape. I think he kind of looks the same. I thought he was always kind of in shape. I don't know. He was never really like a fat dude. He seemed like he always had some muscle on him. But regardless, he does look like he's in shape. And, I think it's healthy for him to be training with Ronnie Stanley, who we know is a great lineman and has been consistently great outside the injuries, consistently great on the field for a decade. So it's definitely a good sign that Daniel Faalele is working out with him and kind of, you know, going up under his wing. We should see improvement out of Faalele. I've been critical of Faalele and his consistency and motor, but it was his first year, you know, like I hope he does take a leap, and it is an incredible right guard. That would be amazing for the team. I'm rooting for Faalele. I'm rooting for whoever wins the job. You know, I've just been screaming for competition. I'm not rooting against Voorhees or Faalele. If they win the job, let's go, man. Let's go ball. Let's go win a championship. I don't care who it is. And hopefully Faalele is that guy. That would be sick, man. I hope he's working his face off with Ronnie and they come back and have the best line in the league. That's what I'm rooting for. We got the schedule coming out tomorrow night, or if you're watching this in the morning, the schedule's coming out tonight. So I will have a first reaction video out to the schedule. We'll talk about some wins and losses and give some way too early predictions again, and just kind of gives us an excuse to go through each game and kind of see how many primetime games we got, or which holidays we're playing on, or what kind of start to the season we have. I think I'm mainly interested in that. Like, who are we opening against? You know, I have been not really wanting a banger game, in my opinion. Not that we can't go do it. We're always a little sloppy to start the season and are never at our best. And without a preseason, it's probably going to start that way again. So I kind of just want a smooth start where we can, you know, work some kinks out and get rolling, and then go to Kansas City, go to Buffalo and play those guys. But whatever, I'll take whoever it is week one. I'm just excited to see the schedule. So that'll be out tomorrow night, and I'll have a video for you guys. But that's it for today. Unfortunately, coming on here bringing news like this sucks, man. I am pissed that Darius Washington is not going to be a Baltimore Raven. Or he is a Baltimore Raven, but he's not going to play for us this season. So brutal loss for the defense. Gives the young guys a chance to step up, but it definitely stings, man. I feel for Darius, but let me know what you're thinking about everything. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.